that we have seen the Seraphine doing. There's the ban, meaning that it's probably going to be the fresh third here, sticking with that trio. But T1, the Zoe here is an interesting angle. That are they also going to like bend the chase and just go for a first pick Gnar?
Yeah, it's interesting. Renekton, of course, going to be banned away here. I don't know whether you necessarily need to ban Jace. We've seen that matchup actually, weirdly enough, not go that badly. We saw it yesterday, in fact. But, you know, maybe nameplates did play a part in that. As T1's still thinking that picking away the Udyr is a better idea than just allowing that Hecarim to go through, as there is the Gnar. And Pyosik should be locking in the Hecarim here as well. So two fantastic teamfight tools already for DRX.
And the fresh bans consistently mean that answers that you normally go for, like a fresh Aphelios, would be insane here, right? But you can't do that. You're not allowed to. And Aphelios Kench doesn't quite have the same ring to it, and that's why we've seen T1 instead opt for just super standard good blind pick lanes in the past. Now you can go for a counter pick in this scenario if you want to go for a Camille or the Aurelia.
I love it.
And, you know, if you want to punish, this is the way to go.
Let's see where Faker's going to go with his pick, because I think locking away a better lane for, or a better option for Teddy could be a good one too. But
Tristana is open, made its way through the draft.
Was banned second by T1 in both games prior to this. So could potentially be a great choice here. Of course, Buster Shot, brilliant into the Gnar, and works into Hecarim as well as Faker's Twisted Fate. This is T1 actually, like, I kind of like it, because last game, if they had have played into a 1-3-1, that's actually a pretty good way of dissecting DRX, because their strength has been miracle team fights. What if you just don't team fight? That's a theory that you could look for.
I agree. I think that it is, at least this is an angle with a clear, very clear identity. Love the Varus banning, because Varus is one of the best AD carries to just be parked in the mid lane and clear waves indefinitely, which you don't want as DRX, even though into that much hard engage and Wombo, it's not amazing without peel. But if they pick up like Varus Kench, it's like, ugh, that's feeling wrong. I wouldn't even mind a blind Tom Kench ban here, because I think what you're going to do as DRX, you're just going to go for the same kind of strategy. Just run them down, all in, and this teamfight composition already never going to be matched by T1. However, as you say, I think pulling apart that death ball is a smart call, because the one thing that DRX have been lacking in throughout the entire day, even in the last game, is that macro. That macro, not on point, not to the level of T1. Of course, the downside of this is T1, if you fall behind with these side lanes, which should never ever happen, but if it does happen, you are so dead. But so that was the same last game, right? And then it took a little bit longer, but it was still the same. And if T1 is going to keep going with the idea of we need to win this early, we need to stomp them, and we're not going to take the risk for team fights.
Sejuani. Very interesting.
What?
Just going to be taking that one away. Bao thinking about a Samira. Tristana available, and still the Samira going to be looked at as the option.
I'm so confused. This is like a hidden R5 counter pick for Becca? I'm not... What else would it be?
I'm not entirely sure. However, the Alistair is going to be locked away. Leona's still there for Carrier if they do want to go for that. And there's the Tristana that we were talking about. I think Tristana and the Leona certainly a pretty good option here, as Trist, pretty good wave clearer herself with the explosive charge. Oh, this would be safety, and this would be also very self-sufficient when T1 are going for their dive plays.
So this on Leona also provides you an actual reliable threat in lane, which I quite like, because that level 6 spike is actually quite significant if you can hit it early. And in a 1-3-1 comp, an AD carry like Ezreal just feels the best, doesn't it? Especially into the enemy team, you see all these hard engage divers. This
more dive!
Oh my god, okay, this I love so much, because what we see here, it won't only augment the global pressure and the side lane pressure that you already have with the Twisted Fate and with the Aurelia, but it also is really good into champions that want hard engage on top of you. DRX is going for the same style. Sure, you give over to Tristana, which I think in a vacuum is a stronger AD carry, but at the very least T1 has gone back to a draft where it's a clear, cohesive plan. You're going to 1-3-1, you have a self-sufficient AD carry, Teddy can literally just be left alone in that lane, Carrier can roam, your side lane pressure is going to be absurd, and you snowball and win through that. So at least Unlike game number 1 where the sign pick just didn't really
No.
do anything ever, it's cohesive. However, DRX can always win the game. Just need one good fight.
Oh yeah, and if this gets to a point where we're fighting over Barons and there's Elders on the table, right? If this gets to that ultra late game, DRX should still be able to manipulate the map, despite the fact that their macro hasn't been the best, into the point where T1 has to fight them. Because park yourself at a Baron and then a 5v5 is almost inevitable, right?
You need early Drakes as T1 to time what you're saying.
so
If you don't get the early Drakes, it's just over. Because what we've seen really throughout the last split is that, or really the whole year, is that due to the power and importance of Drakes, you cannot just split push. You need to actually get the early objectives, because otherwise the enemy team is going to go, well, good luck split pushing. You'll get a top lane inhibitor and we'll get Mountain Soul. Guess who wins? Haha.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's not Mountain Soul, it's definitely not Cloud Soul, which is generally what happens here in the LCK, unfortunately. And it's again early pressure for T1 and the all-in wombo combo composition that dreams are made of for DRX.
No, 100%. I'm actually, like, this is definitely one of the more interesting drafts that we've had so far today. I think a lot of people have been a little bit frustrated by T1, and I think you still can be, right?
You're allowed
I think
to be.
Teamfight is still definitely a much more simple way of winning the game. This is going to take a lot of finesse, but that's what T1 have demonstrated they know how to do, right? Their last draft just wasn't very good.
No.
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 I could put it lightly, but I'm not going to.
No, I agree. I think that another shift that we see here is the acknowledgement that Kana's really on form today. I think last game he was rather forgettable on the Sion, but the comp also didn't allow him to do anything.
It was like R5 Sion into Nah. It's just absolutely not what you want.
Not just that, but he was just there wasn't really, I think, a situation in which he can hard carry that game with the amount of setup that he had. He has an AD carry that just wants to poke, that doesn't actually want to follow up on his engages, right? Because Teddy still needs to respect, etc.
Yep.
But if you look at that first game, Kana was the win condition. And in Irelia into a Nah, we've seen literal back-to-back solo kills in this matchup. Keen showed us how easy he can make it look. And with Kana on the form that he is right now, I think this is a gamble you take as T1, but it's one that can work out. And if there is one pick in the current meta that excels at making sure that you turn early priority into early objectives, it is the Udyr, because it's 4-0.
Not actually giving away the ward position there on the bottom side, as you saw. Becca was able to get it in there, but quite able to get too much more done. As we have a look at the win rates, not exactly quite as impressive as T1's. 0-3 on the Tristana is definitely not what you want to see, unless you're a T1 fan, in which case you're going to be pretty psyched about it. Now Kana still wanting to fight, does manage to get that Ionian further stacked up. As he goes through his potion, and Kingan's going to give him the good old thumbs up. He was impressed.
Or is it just a mental fight he's trying to win?
I think it's definitely.
I would argue that with nice spacing coming out from King there. Teddy and Carrier having the pressure, which is interesting. Of course, the level 1 isn't great. It's Kana.
Yeah. As soon as you're able to land that, you're feeling a whole lot better as Kingan's realizing just how difficult this can be. Pioshik going to helicopter rampage that last one as Kana. Yeah, hit by a turret, definitely not going to help you in this matchup, especially as Kingan is about to hit Mega.
No, that's not good. You need pressure in this lane. That's basically what you pick it for. Can still poke a little bit, has one more cookie that he has now used. And we also saw Pioshik going for the E there, meaning that he might be looking for an early play on both sides. Generally, I think if you're decently sure.
Okay, Kana. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do this, and that is just a solo kill for Kingan on the top side, but almost feels a little bit more like a solo death.
I need a moment of silence for that one, because that is the worst game. I just give credit to Kana for how well he's been playing in that game number 1. This is not a matchup you can afford to lose. You need to win this top lane 100%. If you don't have side lane pressure, it's not going to happen. Yeah, won't work.
It kind of takes another turret shot as Kuz just holds on to these caster minions. I mean, the matchup dictates that this should still be okay, but Kingan now with that extra kill to help augment. Now wanting to deal with this minion wave, and Kuz, there's just no way you can really help out there. Of course not going to be diving. Kana has to go home yet again.
Can he cancel? Oh, he still forces it out.
And Kingan's still going to deny. So Pyosik spotted on this ward up here. There's more fighting on the bottom side. Goes Carrier. There's the rocket jump. Immediate flash from Teddy as well. Gets him out of the way. Becca could be in trouble. Teddy following up. Needs one more auto. Will be able to get it. Arcane Shift. We'll see whether it's going to be back off cooldown to try and make it a double. It's not going to be. And the Mystic Shot also not going to land. So 1-1. T1's bottom lane finally able to perform.
And as T1, that's a bit of a breather. That's a moment you needed in this game, because considering how last game went, considering the draft you went for, losing early game is simply not an option. Kana has just had it so rough and didn't actually ever get the back off. I'll point your attention to that. Like, he's still sitting on 2 Doran Blades and exclusively a cookie here. Kingan is going to shove this wave in. It's going to be able to deny at least a couple of minions here. No teleport available. This kind of cancels his back yet again, which I think getting this wave in XP is fine, and I don't think he would actually be threatened, especially with Pyosik on the other end of the map. And do not underestimate that, like, Irradiate can still win this matchup, right? It's just that post 6 you'll feel a lot better, but giving up those early kills, taking those early turrets, it says a lot about the pressure that is on. Meanwhile, if we're talking about win rates, Twisted Fate, not in a great spot.
No, he hasn't really been finding too many of the victories, and that's with, you know, it's not like lower tier teams are just the ones playing this. It was Faker himself that also found a loss. Chovy, at the same time, not exactly being the most successful on this Twisted Fate. We have seen it banned still a few times against especially Faker. This is one of his key picks at the moment, but not necessarily showing its dominance just yet. But with the way that T1 have been playing the macro, this is certainly something that can find advantages. We'll be looking at that first Destiny under a big microscope, as Rascal the only one to win as Nara in this matchup so far this season.
And it's not all doom and gloom. That kill on Teddy means that possibly the T1 bot lane can accelerate. They've been super diligent about actually taking leads and translating it into more, translating it into objectives, and bot side prio will also mean that you can play players like this.
Yep, this is a 4v2. This is bad news bears. Bao going to try and rocket jump to reposition, but it is not really going to work. Cuz going to have to tank up that last turret shot, does so. Does still have to blow the flashes. Now Teddy is chasing after Becca. He'll land it. One last auto will get him there. There's the headbutt, and Carrier is just going to say absolutely not, Mr. Cowfriend. And that is going to be 2 on the bottom side of the map for T1.
Yes, the top side is rough. If Kana gets dove here, if they can put him further behind, that'd be lovely, but I think it's a risk, considering the fact that Maganar is about the timeout and Pyosik isn't level 6, otherwise you can 100% go for that. And gold goes to one Faker, who you want to get fed because you want him to have at least a modicum of sideline pressure, and secondly, yeah, I mean, if you don't take a turret shot here, you're probably fine, you know?
Yeah.
Also cancels an auto here. Yeah,
Didn't even get the CS.
no. It's just painful, and this is what pressure, knowing that you need to win a matchup, does to you. Whereas this is just a super well played play, really nice exhaust coming out there on Bao, meaning that any of the relevant damage, including the explosion, doesn't do nearly as much. This play, it's not the cleanest. The Tristana and Alistair can be a little bit finicky to lock down, as we see that Teddy is going to be forced to flash in a little bit. They don't get the 100-0 on Bao, which creates kind of a elongated player, but you know that no one is coming. You have vision of both top laners in the solo lanes, and Teddy getting more kills. Amazing. That actually creates an alternative win condition for you, because if Teddy's not ahead, he can just chill, right? You can leave him alone, you can farm, you can clear waves, they'll always be fine. But if he gets fed, you get an additional pressure point on the map.
See whether T1 can play around it. True Shot Barrage going to connect. Flash goes in, 3-man taunt from Carrier as well. And now DRX are forced under their turrets, and the poke damage is real from these guys.
That's
Teddy
great.
moving on over, looking for a little bit more. Not finding it.
And we actually will have a relevant Drake this game, Atlas. It is just good news all around, except for Kana. Kana's not having a fun time, because Kaz is actually playing this, or giving this Aurelia, besides that early push that he gave so that the reset would come in and Kana wouldn't get zoned off the turret, which against Nara is basically a death sentence. If it gets frozen in front of your turret, then your Aurelia is just, no, it just doesn't, no. Can't have that happen. And we now get the snowball being found here by T1 on the bot side of the map. Sure, Connor won't have as much pressure, but in a pure 1v1, Aurelia will always be relevant, no matter the game state. And then if the rest of your team is ahead as T1, you get so much more room to play with. So as a whole, sure, not as dominant from the top side as we'd like to see it, but as a whole, the T1 composition is still maneuvering itself into a position where it wants to be.
And also Destiny back available once again, and therefore Pyosik not going to very comfortably be able to take this Rift Herald. You saw Teddy communicating with the rest of his team. They're like, nah, we got this Herald. There ain't no way they're stealing this one away. And so he is going to head back towards that bottom side of the map. Stabilization working well for T1 after the disaster of the top side. But we'll see what DRX are going to be able to do as now Kingen heading towards that Mega Gnar. He'll get stunned. Not going to go for any of those transformation abilities. And Canna, let's see whether he can get his head back in the game.
Still possible.
Oh, yeah.
Vanguard's Edge, finishing your item.
Well, Nard into the wall is bad news, as he's mini Nard now, so Canna will see whether he can get this. Does manage to find it. Vanguard's Edge comes through, and that's going to be the solo kill in return. Manages to clean up all the minions to get that health back. Also, great flash out from Canna, but the Rampage says no. But now Pyosik may have overextended. Gold card is prepped. The bear slap is there, and I think the horse not going to be able to find safety here. Wildcard's the last auto, and Faker picks that one up. This is how this top lane's supposed to go.
That's an applause play there from Canna, because not only do you get the kill, you draw Pyosik up to you. It's such a beautiful play, and it's why people love to see Aurelia as well, because it creates these super interesting, like, visually flashy type of 1v1s. It's interesting because I thought that they were gonna just straight up kill the turret, but instead the teleport from Kingen means that that doesn't happen, because that would make this play even better.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, one of the reasons why when you're playing against Aurelia, you're just like, what even is this champion? What am I looking at? What is happening here? As this is played as well as mechanically possible, sure, Connor goes down in the end, but the Destiny Gate, second time used, second kill.
Exactly.
And that's what's really important. T1 finding these players around the map, continuously applying pressure, and now Connor's going to feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, and Faker is starting to feel comfortable up here on the top side as well. He'll need another gold card, I think, but he'll find it. As there's the ward, goes straight over. Control ward's there, but it's not going to help out as Canna's going to get Nard back, and now Kingen's forced to walk the wrong direction. No flash available. Faker with a gold card prepped. Feeling like we're just waiting for the inevitable right now, as wildcards are going to miss. Pyosik trying to get into position. Solka's moving on up though. Command Protect is going to be there. And now Pyosik's looking for it. 3 versus 2. Faker flashes out immediately. Can he escape is going to be the question, as looks like he thinks that he's going to have to give up for the ghost. And yeah, dashing around, but not going to be able to do it. Dissonance going to be able to tidy that one up. And see what else is able to go on around the rest of the map, but was successful defense from DRX.
Not the cleanest play, but what you get as T1 is definitely with. They get the bot side turret, and they get the Drake. And these are two things that you 100% need. I think an Infernal case would have been the best case scenario, but an Ocean Soul is still something you're never going to say no to.
I think Mountain Soul's fine as well.
Yeah,
in
for the
giving
1v1.
yourself any sort of control in a side lane, any added stats is good.
As, yeah, just a really nice, straightforward punish. I'm not sure how Faker was able to get into that brush. Kingen, again, plays this as well as you can reasonably expect. Is just able to endlessly stall. There's no Vanguard Edge available, meaning that Kana, when he uses his Q here, actually doesn't have a way to continuously stick on Kingen. And while this is happening, bot side turret and Drake get picked up. So I think that is T1. If you back off a little bit earlier there, this is too greedy. You don't need to give up the kill on Kana, and you still get all the payoff. But considering the overall map state, it's not the worst of situations, even though individually, it's a bit rough.
No, I agree. And I actually felt like Kingen was definitely dead there, so playing it out very, very well. Like, it wasn't until the majority of the way through that Solka actually finished farming the mid lane and decided to wander on up and collect himself that kill. So definitely good news there. Faker doesn't even have a lead in that mid lane. You can see after all of that extra damage, it's Solka that's actually able to create a huge CS advantage for himself.
It's the Blade Gold, right? Solka just...
Yeah, that too.
In combination with the CS, as you mentioned, yes, Faker has been going for these roams, but Orianna can really easily push it in this matchup and create huge CS leads for her. The main thing, though, is that yes, while Faker is ahead individually, TF is never the type of pick where you're looking to like straight up outfarm your opponent and win 1v1s, right? It's for the map pressure, and the map pressure is there for T1. They found a turret, they picked up the first objectives, they found the Rift Herald, they found a first turret blood, they picked up the first Drake. If they can get the second one as well, they are looking to do what they needed to. However, the gold lead as it is right now, close to 3K, is good, but it's a start, because do not forget, even for a single moment, the power of pure team fighting that is available for DRX.
Oh, straight up. This is
straight up.
Very, very front-to-back friendly. And we know that the ease of execution for compositions like this is definitely what's in its wheelhouse, and DRX have been inconsistent, but this is a composition that awards you with a level of consistency that others may not be able to. So, DRX being able to actually force 5v5s is the aim of the game. And right now they're behind 3,000 gold, and T1 want to avoid these 5v5s at all costs.
Just side lane, indefinitely. That's the game
yeah.
plan. And we have already seen Faker make a lot of plays. We haven't actually seen Kara be freed up from this lane. I think we're approaching that point now. 2 items finished for Teddy. In a 1v1, I don't think Bao can even get close to matching him, which is a really bad place for the Tristana to be. He just finished his Kraken Slayer now. Teddy is a 4 item ahead. He's about, there we go, fully stacked his Mana Mune. And this is also, we have a lot of these, but it's like, it's Teddy Ezreal, right? We have so many of these insane Ezreals within the LCK that I feel like you can say this about like every team in the top 3. You'd be like, oh yeah. I guess Ghost is the one exception. Ruler,
although Ghost,
Deft.
like this year and the end of last year, his Ezreal was starting to step up as well. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, but now do we have to put Ghost in that conversation? It's very confusing. Trishot Barrage connecting on about.
I think for Ghost it's a Senna. That's like just a completely not okay champion that he can never, ever be allowed to have.
Same thing for Teddy, as we've seen in the ban list.
Has not been given over to T1. And you know, just keep looking for the side lanes, keep looking for man advantages, use your hero's entrance, use your destiny gate, and don't fight on even footing. Don't fight straight up team fights unless Teddy can poke people down first.
Well, Cuz is going to start off the Rift Herald. Faker's towards the top side, Destiny in hand. Has his flash, heals available as well. We do have a lot of summoner spells for DRX's side as well. Maybe we're getting towards team fight time as Teddy desperately trying to clear out this wave as best he can. Canna's moving on over. Looks like T1 are actually primed for a fight right here as Bao getting chunked a little bit by a Mystic Shot or 2 there by Teddy, who is definitely in fighting form right now. 80 carry difference is going to be huge in this potential fight as Teddy finding more Mystic Shots. Solka and Bao in a little bit of trouble here as Pyoshik. Can he actually win this 50-50 is the question. Bao has to get completely out of this fight, and Pyoshik will be able to deny the Rift Herald. I don't think they'll be able to get the eye, but the Herald should definitely go over to them as Faker turns up and Bao. Yeah, mate, you saw the eye above your head. Oh, it's a little bit unfortunate. Faker was in range to jump on top of him, even goes golden to avoid the shockwave. As now Teddy's looking for even more. Oh my goodness, the Everfrost positioning was fantastic, and Teddy locks down the kill onto the Gnar as well. The T1 snowball is well and truly heading down this mountain.
And this is a T1 we wanted to see last game but didn't, Atlas.
Yes.
They need to find the early game lead. This time they actually do. It's a beautifully drawn apart team fight there where it's not, even though there's 10 people involved, it's not an actual 5v5, and that creates the space that T1 needs. Surely it's a nice smite from Pyoshik. He had a 1 level advantage, so he's able to get the winning smite there. But Carrier's usage of the vision here is so nice as well, because you don't actually moves in and out, so it's hard to see what's happening. Immediate ultimate on Teddy here. So you have Teddy fighting with Solka, fighting with Bao, Carrier joining him. And then in the top side of the map, T1 like somehow creates a situation where they're always playing what feels like a stronger position, which doesn't make sense because one of those positions was 2 against 3. But due to the low health bars, and then the lockdown that comes through here is super straightforward. And what you're allowed to do when you're only facing a single target.
Yeah,
which is good.
It was just a little bit unfortunate there as well. The Bao was out of position, no stopwatch or anything like that. I thought maybe, like, part of my brain is like trying to explain the situation. Just doesn't really work. As yeah, Teddy has a 3.3k gold lead. That's almost the entire gold lead for T1 on Teddy's Ezreal.
Oh god.
Yep.
Yep.
Scary stuff for DRX. This is the bounce back T1. This is what we were hoping to see, right? draft something, win with it, and draft well. As Kyoshik's positioning given away, no way that he can actually find Teddy there. This guy's positioning is too good.
And that's the what I've dubbed the ruler spot. That's what AD carries die.
Yes.
Okay, like we've seen this so many times.
There is a graveyard. Yes.
And this time between the tier 1, tier 2 turret, and this is the power of the Ezra that we already mentioned. Listen. I know. I'm glad you are, because
and Teddy's very loud.
This is not okay, right? Because this is normally something that you put in the side lane or you put in the mid lane, and then you wave clear. And Teddy will always be fine. He won't die. But now he's so fed that wherever he is, DRX can't do anything.
Has he got his grudge now completed as well? He goes home. He's got a fair bit of money, I imagine. No, not quite. Just going to... I think he just purchased the Last Whisper. Wanted to get himself another control ward and go for that slight reset. DRX with some defensive vision, but look at this. This is the kind of linear goal graph that this sort of 1-3-1 comp absolutely needs.
That is really good. T1 is not out of the woods yet, right? Like, just as we said in game number 1, where T1 could always win by finding the right angle, same is the case here for DRX. Because we saw that last team fight where it was nicely spread out. If T1 ever lose discipline, they just group up. Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah, that's not
they just group up and they just stick together. Look at, oh my god, Bao's damage compared to Teddy's. That is...
I mean, Carrier's damage compared to everyone is actually pretty impressive as well. Shockwave lands onto absolutely no one. Sulker is going to be dead for it as the Onslaught of Shadows comes in. Beautiful answering heroic entrance. And that will deny any sort of re-engage here from DRX. Teddy finally moves on over. So T1 actually winning out in that little skirmish without their extraordinarily fed AD carry.
As you pointed out, Teddy wasn't there. Oh, that is... what the composition does, even when it is kind of hamstrung by Nerelia, that has a small CS lead, but in the grand scheme of things, not really going to be ahead. And you still have the power of this Twisted Fate that has gotten fed through the global gold. Drake getting started up. I don't want them to flip this. There's an advantage for Kyoshik here, although he can't quite get...
No, he can't get over the wall. He literally can't get over the wall. There's no way for him to get in. So this is just free. He watches it go down, but like looking at that flash button being like, where did it go?
I was waiting for the blast cone. That would be the most Kyoshik thing ever.
He's timed the blast cone to come back up right as the Baron was going down.
I can see it.
That's pretty next level. As Faker goes in for his 3rd Destiny kill in a row.
And even if you hit the ultimate, that it doesn't actually change what happens subsequently. As the tankiness and the pile-on potential of a T1 comp, or this specific T1 comp rather, is not something you can match as DRX. You need to be a unit no matter what, because if you are in the side lane, if you're shoving it out, if you get greedy for the wave, you're like, oh, I can push this maybe out. Literally, the moment you step away from your turret, Destiny comes in, Kana comes out of nowhere, Teddy jumps on top of you, which normally is fine, but in this game is a death sentence. Or Carrier augments any of the other ones. At least you're not also playing into Hacker. That will make it worse.
Well, here's another one. Destiny comes through. It's onto Kyoshik. Try and deny him his backline access. Flash out from Faker. Certainly trading ulti for flash. Good for Kyoshik as Solka. Oh, these true shot barrages are so scary. However, that one not going to quite hit the mark. 17 seconds on this Mountain Soul. Sorry, point to come through for T1 if they would like it, and they do have a lot of vision. That being said, DRX still with some vision in the area, but this is exactly what this side lane composition can do, right? T1 with their Baron looking to push through the base. They'll take down the mid lane inhibitor very comfortably. Kingin sitting at half health. They're looking potentially for Canna, who does manage to get himself a stun. In goes Carrier, but he's denied for the moment. But now Canna's just bouncing around this fight. Becca, the Unbreakable Will's looking pretty breakable, and it's another ulti missed there from Sulker. And T1 will now be able to transition into multiple inhibitors. Now able to move back at themselves to Drake if they would like it. But they still have a minute left on this Baron.
This is the T1 everyone was expecting today, Atlas. This is why we were expecting 3-0s.
Yeah.
And this is the T1 we were gonna have to need to see if they want to actually make it through, because I think that those first 2 games actually show some of the weaknesses that weren't punished in the latter admittedly great run by T1, where they were able to get away. And you already said it, maybe that punish is good. Maybe the fact that they just got punished for it actually is a big important point of growth. Yeah, that. No.
That's 3 items before there's 2.
Yes.
Make of that what you
problematic.
will, everyone. That just means that Teddy's pretty far ahead.
And it's been Teddy that is, in terms of like raw damage and in terms of gold, has been carrying this game aggressively. But it's Faker's Twisted Fate that allows so much of this to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice flash there from Kana. Has a minion wave to dodge through, and through that stay alive. Even with that play, Sorka, the last one I didn't mind as much. This one though is pivotal because it means that T1 can actually just go up, walk up and get your inhibitor. If that shockwave is still there, you need to respect that threat. Not the case here, unfortunately, as DRX, it's still possible technically, but we're getting to the realm of possibilities as opposed to realistic angles to win the game.
Yeah, this is the problem, right? T1's composition has done exactly what it needs to do. It's moved now to an 8,000 gold lead, and it's the weight of the wallets right now. Moving towards 25 minutes, and Pyosik is desperately trying to find a team fight that they're looking for. Everfrost, his fantastic heroic entrance has been so good this game as well, as Shockwave lands onto one tank. And it is going to be Tristana managing to take down Faker here. Teddy goes golden as everyone tries to collapse. This could be the team fight they're looking for. A double kill already for the Trista's Bow is untouched right now, and T1, they need to get the heck out of here. The resets are starting to come through. Here's another one as Kingen gives it over to Bow. And Cuz and Kana, you need to escape. There are super minions that are getting work done, but I feel like I've been caster cursing a lot here.
It's okay, Atlas. Yes, that's scary. That's not what you can afford to have happen. That's not what you want to have happen. You lose a lot of summoners, but no objective is lost. And outside of some shutdown gold, nothing actually happens. Disengage from Pyosik looks a little bit questionable initially, but it does mean that with Faker, I don't think anyone expected him to actually die there. Will go down to
he had an explosive charge on his head. I didn't actually see it.
And that bomb was a ticking time bomb that T1 didn't notice. T1 was still moving up. If they recognized that Faker would have died there, they would have just gotten out of there immediately, but instead, they're still moving up. They think the Kana flank is coming, and Bao's like, well, I am at a huge deficit, but this is the easiest rock and jump of my life. As he goes in there and is able to pick up a couple of cleanup kills. That's going to accelerate him. Obviously, Teddy's still ahead, but these summoners being down might actually influence the next Drake fight. As T1, I don't even think you want to risk it for the Baron.
Oh, Carrier caught out of position here, unfortunately. 1 versus 4. Don't like those odds. And this is DRX finding a few opportunities, finding a few moments. This is how they won so many games in round 1. I thought this DRX had gone past its prime. I thought this is the DRX that we lost moving into round 2. They're showing some signs of it right now. Still, do have to tempo with the fact that T1 still have a 6,000 gold lead. But this is what we illustrated at the very beginning. The team fighting is 100% there for DRX, and if they can move as a unit and find picks, then that does change the game.
We talk about team fighting. I think the previous example was a really nice team fight. This is just...
yeah, that's a pick.
Carrier not really respecting. You need to respect. We see a little bit of a dip there in the gold graph. Nothing to really worry about yet. But if this happens 1 or 2 more times, all of a sudden DRX are 100% back in this game. And that's something you can't afford as T1, as the Baron might get started up here.
Yep. Destiny is going to give them all the information. True Shot Barrage, massively high value. They're looking to see whether they can burst this one down. Destiny gets Faker into position. T1. This is a 5v5 that can be very difficult, but they still have a lot more gold, and Teddy is huge. Can they do it is the question. Very trying to get these Winds of War in, and now the turn does come through. Teddy's a long way away from this fight as Kingen just getting fought, and they can't just split up and fight 1v1 like this. As Pyosik comes in, Kana immediately goes golden. Another whiff shockwave as Cuz gets into that backline, and look at these health bars, they're so low. As Carrier looks for the Justice Punch, doesn't quite find it. Exhaust is down, Bow is going to get murdered. Faker through with the gold card. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And DRX, they went for the Hail Mary Baron and they were punished.
And it is the teleport into the base, but the inhibitors respawn. Pyosik keeps on running here.
Oh,
but
that is an angry bee. He's like, you going for a running race with me, my friend?
Oh, no.
Chilling Smite comes up and Cuz says, absolutely. I'm not even gonna boop you. I'm gonna run past and pick up the kill. In the meantime, though, Faker is all business, and T1 will get to match point in their first playoffs match for 2021 spring.
And this is the type of series, or the games that we expected to see here tonight. As I think, as a whole, the continuous pressure and playmaking from T1 in this game, barring that one snafu on top side, has been incredible. And I find it really hard to find a clear winner here in terms of who had the most